Prismatic Evolutions is just like Champion's Path. Surging Sparks is just like Vivid Voltage. These two sets will have the same fate that Vivid Voltage and Champion's Path had in the past. That is something a lot of people bring up, and today I will talk about it with the bird's eye view, looking at both sides of the argument, and we can make our decision at the end of the video. Now, I want to be clear, this video is not just going to be 20 minutes of me just glazing Surging Sparks and Prismatic Evolutions. I will be hearing both of them out. There are a lot of concerns that need to be brought up, but at the same time, they do get shut down pretty quickly, so there is a bit of bias, but I will try to have as little bias as possible, so we're going to be breaking it down in 4 segments. Number 1, why people say that these two sets will be the next Champion's Path and Vivid Voltage. Number 2, how Prismatic Evolutions really blew up. Number 3, how Champion's Path really blew up, and then how they're like completely different scenarios, they're not even comparable. And then number 4 is our conclusion. So let's start off with chapter 1. Alright, so chapter 1 is the argument that people make. Now, most people just throw the argument, it's the next Champion's Path, it's the next Vivid Voltage, and they don't really give more to the argument. However, I have been able to find a couple forums of people giving proper arguments, plus me also just filling in the blank. I know some people, they say things, but they just kind of, it's not, they can't be bothered really explaining their logic, so you kind of have to just try and understand it and then sort of just debunk it. So yeah. Alright, first of all, let's just quickly talk about Champion's Path. So people were saying how at the time the Champion's Path Charizard was selling for a lot and now they're not really. Then you look at Prismatic Evolutions, they're selling for a lot. Well, it clearly must mean that they're going to absolutely dump, right? Because everything that's happened in the past is clearly going to repeat itself in the future, right? So I think this is a valid argument, right? Like the whole argument where you never know, it could lose relevance, right? Like I'm sure if you told anybody when Champion's Path came out, like, hey, you know this set is actually going to be considered a massive flop in the future, like they would probably just laugh at you, right? They'd be like, no, this is a Charizard set, there's no way. But then us, the ignorant people in 2025, we're going to go, no, this is an evolution set, this can't go down. Now the argument that Prismatic Evolution is going to have the same fate as Champion's Path is somewhat kind of choppy. So first of all, let's just quickly look at the pull rates. Now, these are both holiday sets, which is great. We can have a very consistent analysis on the pull rates. It's not like we have to try and compare a main set to a holiday set. So that is a very good thing there. So Champion's Path, to pull the Charizard, it is about 172 packs, and then to pull the shiny Charizard, it is about 300 packs to pull, which is incredibly easy. So for reference, for every single Umbreon SAR, there are usually about 8 Rainbow Charizards pulled. So you would need 8 times as much demand of this Rainbow Charizard to match the same price as the Umbreon, which is definitely something to think about. This is something a lot of people don't really like to bring up. They like to just throw out like, oh, well, the Charizard was this much, the Prismatic Umbreon is this much, clearly they're going to have the same fate. So pull rates don't really help the argument that Prismatic Evolutions will be the next Champion's Path, but let's just quickly take a snippet at Surging Sparks and see how they're doing. So to pull the Surging Sparks Pikachu is practically the identical pull rates to pull the Rainbow Pikachu. Now, in theory, the Rainbow Pikachu should actually be more in price, and it's a pretty simple equation why. Generally, when you have a boom or bust set, what happens is a lot of people don't actually like opening it up because it doesn't feel very welcoming to open up and it feels incredibly risky, right? So like Silver Tempest, before the Rayquaza really blew up, it wasn't really worth opening up Silver Tempest. But if it's a $100 booster box, just go for it, right? But once it becomes like a $300 or $400 booster box, that's where it starts to get dicey. Versus something like Lost Origin, where you've got Pikachu, you've got Pikachu VMAX, and you've got all these different cards that can kind of save you if you end up pulling an alt art, but just like the wrong one. But you compare it to Silver Tempest, where all the alt arts are like $20, or even worse, like $15, and then you've got the Lugia, right? So there's a lot of risk to that. So generally, what this means is if the artwork ages well, keyword on if it ages well, then it can actually do some serious numbers because people don't have the balls to open it up, which means a lot of it gets kept sealed, and then a lot of people would rather just buy the single itself, if that makes sense. I hope that does. So in theory, the Vivid Voltage Pikachu should actually be worth way more because it's way more enticing to open up Surging Sparks, which means there would be more Pikachus in supply versus Vivid Voltage where there's not many being opened up. I hope this all makes sense. Now, the thing that the Pikachu has in Vivid Voltage is that it did not age well. And this is something you can't really predict will happen in the future. It's extremely ignorant to say, oh, well, Umbreon is not going to age bad. Oh, well, all of these sets, they're going to age just fine. I mean, it should in theory, but the thing is, like, people would have said the same thing about Shining Fates. People would have said the same thing about those older sets. So the argument that, like, Vivid Voltage, oh yeah, that was obvious it was going to age bad, but these newer cards, nah, these aren't going to age bad. Okay, out of all the sets, Prismatic Evolutions is the most likely to age bad, just for the sole reason that so many of the artworks are just so damn ugly. So a lot of people say that, okay, well, Prismatic Evolutions has alt arts, and alt arts have done incredibly well, right? Like, Evolving Skies, which is known as the best set ever, has a crap ton of alt arts. You've got Crown Zenith tons of alt arts, regarded as a great set. Clearly, alt arts are incredibly popular, which is absolutely true. But you look at Evolving Skies, you look at a lot of the VMAX alt arts, you compare them to Prismatic Evolutions. Prismatic Evolutions is a good set, do not get me wrong. It has nothing on Evolving Skies, though. Let's just quickly compare the Vaporeon SIR versus the Vaporeon VMAX alt art. So you look at them and go, wow, that Vaporeon artwork actually looks like crap. The SIR looks awful. I could see that Vaporeon SIR just not aging well. But then you go to other cards like the Flareon and the Eevee, and they just don't look that nice. However, Prismatic Evolutions is basically the definition of if you throw enough shit to the wall, eventually something sticks. Because the Umbreon looks really nice, the Leafeon looks really nice, the Espeon, the Sylveon looks really nice. But then you also have a couple underground artworks that were viewed as, worse than Evolution artworks, like the Roaring Moon. Funny enough, I actually have pulled the Roaring Moon twice. I pulled it out of my first ETB, but then I also opened up an EV like pouch, and then I pulled a Demigod pack, which was pretty cool. If you're curious, I did not pull a single evolution, but the Roaring Moon is actually better than most of the SIR evolutions, so it kind of works out. I usually don't crack packs that often, so I was pretty happy to get quite lucky with that. I got very lucky with Prismatic Evolutions, for the record. Once again, I don't really open that many packs, but whenever I do, I generally do get pretty lucky with that, which is pretty cool. You compare them to Evolving Skies, which is a massive hit, and then, yeah, they've got nothing on Evolving Skies, but a good amount of them are really, really solid. So you do have that argument as well, right? Look, Vivid Voltage, if that Pikachu does not age well, you are done for. Your investment is dead in the water. Champion's Path, if those two artworks don't age well, you're done for. The thing about Prismatic Evolutions is because it has so many things. It has Master Balls, SIRs, Evolutions, Shinji Kanda, has all these God packs, Demigod packs, has all these different things. So eventually, a couple of them will do pretty well long term, right? Like, all the stars would have to align for every single different thing that Prismatic has to offer to not age well, if that makes sense. Now, it is possible, but it's so unlikely. But with Shining Fates, with Champion's Path, with Vivid Voltage, it was incredibly likely. Investing in sets with one massive chase is so risky. You really, really have to hit the right one. It's really risky to do it right. I'm sure Phantasmal Flames will be just fine, right? Like, me personally, I'm not going to invest in it. I think it's a bit overpriced. I'm sure the Charizard will absolutely dump, but it's really risky to invest in sets like that. Now, the argument could be made like, this Charizard is the best artwork ever. I'm sure it'll do really well. And yeah, okay, I agree with that. Yeah, it's a damn good artwork. Everybody wants it. Like, that Charizard artwork is phenomenal. However, you invest in one set where it's just got one single chase, it's incredibly risky. So you can't compare Shining Fates, Champion's Path, Vivid Voltage to something like Surging Sparks, Prismatic Evolutions. You can't do that. Now, just quickly look at Surging Sparks. There's not really a lot to look at Surging Sparks, but I'm just going to quickly throw it out there. Surging Sparks has probably one of the highest risks of being the next Vivid Voltage, even though I don't think it will be, but it does have a pretty decent risk of that, and the reason why is because the Pikachu is so risky. The Pikachu is very unique, and it's very unknown how it will perform long term. So yeah, Pikachu from Surging Sparks, realistically, it is a bit of a risk, but at the same time, it doesn't really matter, right? You've got to think Vivid Voltage, if that Pikachu becomes irrelevant, it's GG's well played. But then you look at something like Surging Sparks, and it's like, well, hang on, dude. You've got Latias, you've got Pikachu, you've got Hydreigon. Like, you have heat inside. You've got all these different artworks that can kind of back it up if the Pikachu becomes irrelevant, which I just don't think is going to happen. But if it were to happen, at least there's kind of other stuff to pick up where the Pikachu left off. Okay, so that's chapter 1 done. Me just talking about, of course, the possibilities, but why I don't think it's going to be the case that these sets become irrelevant in the future. Now, let's look at why Champion's Path and Vivid Voltage realistically did so well. So, Champion's Path, Vivid Voltage, and Shining Fates, these sets came out in 2020, which was a completely different time in the world, right? Yes, okay, it was 5 years ago, but it was a completely different era. It wasn't even, like, comparable. It was so weird in that time. everything was doing well. That's the difference a lot of people don't really connect, is that everything was doing well. Lego was breaking all-time highs. Even pop figures had a level of demand. Not a whole ton, but they did have a level of demand. Pokemon cards were doing really well. Baseball cards were doing really well. All collectibles were doing really, really well. Every subreddit was breaking new all-time high activity that we still don't see to this day. Minecraft servers were seeing the largest activity they've seen in history, and that amount of activity still has not been matched to this day. So there are some games like Among Us, the most basic game you can possibly think of. For anyone who doesn't know, it's just a basic game. The most basic game you can possibly think of, realistically, that there's no reason why that should have taken over the world for a couple months. But the reason why it did is because there was nothing else to do. So yes, the 2020 era was completely different. On top of this, you had a bunch of influencers jumping into Pokemon. What was the highlight? The highlight was vintage. Okay, so if the highlight was vintage, what is the face of vintage? It's Charizard. So you've got 2020, everybody's at home, people are getting stimulus checks. The highlight by influencers is vintage, and you've got the face of vintage being Charizard into Shining Fates and Champion's Path. It does not take a genius to see where I'm coming at, right? It does not take a genius to see what I'm saying. Now that is the environment that the world was in back then, right? Now I want to be clear, it's not just Champion's Path and Vivid Voltage that have done really bad over the years. You look at Lego. Lego has done horrible. That era in 2020 was a completely different era. There are so many Lego sets that still are not up to this day, 5 years later. So the argument that like, oh, it's going to be the next Champion's Path, brother, it's a completely different world. It's not even remotely similar to what the world was 5 years ago. Okay, so that's practically chapter 2 done. Looking at all of the stars aligning for a horse crap set like Champion's Path to do really well. There were a lot of things perfectly lined up for it to do really, really well. So I looked at some old forums online. I looked at some posts on Reddit, and people in the comment section were saying the same shit that they're saying today, right? They were saying like, this Charizard is going to break the internet, the shiny Charizard and the rainbow Charizard. They're saying this is going to break the internet. This is going to be iconic. This is going to age phenomenal. They were all saying the same thing. Same thing about the Pikachu. They're saying this thing's going to age well. People were saying that it was just indestructible. They were ignoring the incredibly easy pull rates. 1 in 72 packs to pull a Rainbow Charizard is absurd. 1 in 270, pretty much just 300 packs to pull the Charizard is absurd. That's really, really easy. That's some pretty easy port. It's so easy. So to have the Rainbow Charizard selling for like $1,000 on release. Now my previous video was talking about Phantasmal Flames and how the ports seem to be quite easy, so it could see a bit of a interesting fate in the future, right? And a lot of people just disregarded that 45-minute video, which if they want to, that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. If you want to disagree with me, that's nothing wrong with that. That's perfectly okay. But they just disregarded it and then just went, oh no, but it's a good artwork, so it's going to break the internet. Brother, that's literally the identical thing that people said 5 years ago. That's literally what people said in forums. You just look at old forums, they said the identical thing. They ignored the easy ports for Champion's Path and they went, all right, easy ports, doesn't matter. It's a good artwork. It'll age amazingly. However, slowly but surely, more and more gets pulled. Hype cools off. All these fake promises about it being this multi-$1,000 card fade away. People stop talking about it, especially as other sets come out. You've got to remember that when a set comes out, that is its highlight, right? Like when a set comes out, it's almost like that's its birthday. The world stops, the Pokemon world stops, and they just all open up the set, they admire the set, they enjoy the set, people try to pull it in happy days. But every day that goes by after release, it becomes less and less, a tiny, teeny bit more irrelevant. You got to think about sets like, I don't know, Tag Team or Cosmic Eclipse or Hidden Fates or really whatever, Evolving Skies. All these sets, the top of their peak and relevance in the industry is release day. So eventually it will just become another artwork. Now, the Charizard artwork from Phantasmal Flames is absolutely amazing. Like, it is such a good artwork. Dude, I honestly, I'm eyeing that because I want to get one. Like, bro, having a Latias, then having a Bubble Mew, then having that as well. Like, it'll be such a sick display, to be honest. I'm looking to buy one. I think it'll be pretty sweet. My buy price is going to be about $300, so I'll wait for it to be that price. Now, I said this in one of my videos, I think it's my latest video, and people were just thrashing me saying like, you have no idea what you're talking about. This is going to be a $2,000 card. It's going to be this good. It's going to be that good. Okay, you do understand it's already plummeted from since I released that video to now. I love this video just been talking about, it somehow just moved to talking about Phantasmal Flames, but I literally don't even know how. That was not supposed to happen. But anyways, I'm just going to let me cook here. The Charizard has already dumped another 30% overnight. Like, the Charizard was selling for like about, I want to say like the $1,000 range yesterday, like $1,100. Now the sales all the way down to like $850, $900 in the States. But dude, even locally, like in Australia, there was one that went on auction and it went for about 1,300 AUD, which is about the range of $850 USD. Like, dude, every like time we breathe, that thing goes down. So, okay, yes, it's an absolutely amazing card, but everything people are saying about it, people are saying the identical thing 5 years ago when Champions Path came out. It is just something to ponder on. I think Phantasmal Flames will do amazing and yada yada, I think all those goodies, but I think people kind of just forget, like, okay, yeah, sure, it can be really good artwork, but if the pull rates are easy, you just pack your bags and leave. If it's easy pull rates, it's enough to ruin a set's investable potential. So that is really something to ponder on. That's why when Phantasmal Flames, it was announced there's no Gengar, and when it was, like, Mega Dream is looking so juicy right now. Like, am I the only one who's not even thinking about Phantasmal Flames? I'm just thinking about Mega Dream, man. Like, okay, Phantasmal Flames, I love the artwork, but my contribution to Phantasmal Flames is literally just going, oh, beep, let me just quickly buy that top chase and never look at the set ever again. Never going to crack a pack, never going to own a sealed box. Let me just, okay, maybe eventually I'll own a sealed box. I'll see in the future. At the moment now I'm not interested, but maybe in the future. But all I'm doing is just going, oh, that's a nice top chase. Oh, I'm just going to quickly take that, chuck it on my display. Mega Dream though, now that on the other hand, oh my goodness, that Gengar looks so good. Dude, this artist is cooking. Like, has this guy made artworks before? The same guy who made the Charizard and Phantasmal Flames, he's also making the Gengar. I'm not gonna lie, like, now I kind of just want to collect the Gengar as well. It looks like such a good card, man, far out. The point is that you're pointing the wrong finger. People are going, huh, Prismatic Evolutions, that is going to be the next Champions Path. And it's like, well, dude, you got the wrong guy. It's actually this guy. It's Phantasmal Flames. I'm sorry. This video wasn't even talking about Phantasmal Flames, but dude, I caused so much slack in my video. People were saying that I have no idea what I'm talking about and I'm an idiot. And yeah, a lot of people were saying a lot of things, but I'm like, dude, you do understand. By the time you made that comment to now, like, the card has already gone down even more. And damn, bro. Every day that goes by, people's predictions on the price of the card just drop more and more because reality kind of sets in. I think it's a beautiful card, absolutely, but I'm also realistic. The pull rates for the Umbreon is 1 in 1,400 packs on a holiday set, mind you. Holiday sets, generally you get half as many packs that you get as normal sets. So a holiday set being 1 in 1,400, it's practically the same rarity, if not even rarer than the Moonbreon being like 1 in 1,900 packs because it's a holiday set. So you get a main set with 5 SRs and it's like, well, it's going to be quite interesting to see. Anyways, that's completely irrelevant. That does not matter. That whole Phantasmal Flames, that's a discussion for another day. But anyways, let's talk about Prismatic Evolutions and Searching Sparks and how this bull market has happened. So last bull market, this is chapter 3 for the record, how it happened was basically everyone was at home and everything did well. It's not exclusive to Pokemon. It's just the whole world, right? So now let's look at Pokemon. Lego is not doing well. Pop figures are about to go bankrupt. Yet Pokemon is doing really well. I mean, even Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Still doing horse crap? Magic of the Gathering picked up some momentum, but even that is just still getting clapped. Even some collector boxes, like the Spider-Man one, is down like 50%. Name a single Pokemon box that is down 50% from its release in the last year. You can't name any. This market is ridiculously healthy for Pokemon. It's not even laughable. Anyway, so the reason why Pokemon is doing so well is because it organically exploded. This bull market organically started, okay? It did not start because everybody was at home and got stimulus checks. No, you look around you and everything is going bankrupt or everything is doing really crap in the collectible world. But you look at Pokemon and it's just absolutely slaying the competition. So the reason why is because we had Surging Sparks, which was a phenomenal set. It sold out relatively on release. Most of like the good items like booster boxes and ETBs sold out pretty quickly. But then you also had Prismatic come out, and it's purely just because it was a good set. Like, the reason why the market is so hot is because there's just so many good sets that comes out. Like Surging Sparks, S tier set. Prismatic Evolutions, S tier set. Journey Together. I mean, okay, the market got a break for a second. But then Destined Rivals, S tier set. Black Ball White Flare. I mean, It's pretty good. It's not S tier, but it's pretty good though. Then you go Mega Evolutions, S tier set. Then you go Phantasmal Flames, S tier card, okay? I'm not going to say it's an S tier set, but it's got one really nice looking card. But anyways, the reason why the Pokemon market is doing so well is just because Pokemon is bringing out so many good sets. That's the difference. Champion's Path is not a good set. It just came out at a really good time. Vivid Voltage is not a good set. It just came out at a really good time. It could have been any set, realistically. They just decided to put Gen 1 Pokemon inside of these sets so they could do really well, which is fine. But yeah, we didn't have influencers pumping up Prismatic. We didn't have influencers going, hey guys, I normally stream Valorant, but let's open up Pokemon packs. And you didn't have all these different people just opening up Pokemon packs. No, it was literally just the Pokemon market went, oh, this is actually a really good set. At the same time, everybody in the Pokemon industry went, oh, well, hang on, this is actually really, really good, right? Like, let's just say there's 100 people active in the Pokemon industry, right? Every single set that comes out, I'd say like 50 of them go ahead and go, you know what, I'm going to crack it because I'm such a big fan. No matter what Pokemon bring out, I'm going to crack some of it. But then when you get to a really good set like Surging Sparks, you get to like 75 of the 100 people in the industry all want to crack it because it's really good. But then you get to a set like Prismatic Evolutions, and Pokemon only print to the amount that they think people will want. They're not going to print double as much Prismatic because they're going to go, this one's going to be a banger. No, what Pokemon do is they go, all right, well, 50 people bought it last time. All right, well, let's print that many that is needed. And then they print 50 ETBs, but then 100 people, 100% of the Pokemon community look at Prismatic and go, yeah, I actually really want to open that, and then it sells out. And then once 100% of the people in Pokemon want a set, then you have other people outside of Pokemon going, oh crap, that's really cool. When you have like someone who's in the Pokemon industry talk to their friends about it. There's no influencer bullcrap. There's no pump and dumps. There's no holding the supply or artificially pumping or what. It's just the set was so good that it triggered an entire bull market. That's Prismatic Evolutions compared to Champion's Path, where it just came out at a good time. No hate to Champion's Path, but it just came out at a good time, versus Prismatic Evolutions, where it single-handedly triggered an entire bull run, which is incredible. So the consensus, will Prismatic Evolutions be the next Champion's Path? I'd say there's like a 3% chance. Realistically, there's always a possibility of it. Saying it's impossible to happen is pure ignorance. There is a possibility it can happen. There's a possibility all of this can become irrelevant tomorrow, but the chances is incredibly slim. People just throw out saying it's going to be the next Champion's Path with nothing to back it up. I've tried my best to look at it with both sides today. I still have an absolute bias in Prismatic and the newer stuff because they are so good. It's more organic, it's more healthy, no influencer bullcrap, no stimulus check bullcrap, no staying at home bullcrap. It's just good organic sets that have triggered this insane bull run.